Welcome to Midlife Matters. I'm Marie, and each week I'm joined by my friends Julie and Mindy to talk about all the topics keeping women in the middle years up at night. This week we're talking about happiness and body. By paying attention to the ways people interact with us, we can improve our relationships. Sounds easy enough, right? Noticing sights, sounds, and even smells can make us more aware of our surroundings and remind us to experience the experience. It's time to get out of our heads and notice the ways our physical body can increase happiness. Let's get started. Hi, Mindy.
Hey, Marie.
Hi, Julie.
Hi, Marie.
Listeners, we're going to be talking about happiness and body today. Today, we're continuing our Happier at Home book series. This is a book written by best-selling author Gretchen Rubin, designed to make our homes places of greater simplicity, comfort, and love. The book tackles one topic related to happiness each month from September through May. Last month, in episode 67, we talked about increasing happiness within ourselves, and this month we're talking about happiness and body. Gretchen urges us to anchor our thoughts about happiness in the reality of our body. We need to remind ourselves to experience the experience. What did you guys think about this chapter in general? Mindy, what were your thoughts on it?
Gosh, well, each chapter has been helpful in its own way. And we've mentioned this before, but anytime you're mindful about something, it makes you evaluate kind of what's working and what's not. And so I think the simplicity of this chapter intrigued me because everything that I realized that I wanted to work on boiled down to either simply paying attention or any active pursuits didn't cost money. So to me, I loved the simplicity of it. It's almost like very small nuances, changes in things could go a long way.
Right. Julie, what did you think about this chapter?
Well, at first I didn't understand the chapter. I just couldn't see its value other than the obvious, like, oh, we should take care of our bodies,
Right.
And so initially at the very beginning of the month, I thought, oh, this chapter is on body. I made 3 doctor's appointments that are long overdue. So yay, I'm going to have a colonoscopy.
Nice.
I'm going to have a mammogram and I'm going
joy.
to the dermatologist.
Oh, yay. You're going to the dermatologist.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
But then as I usually reread the chapter 2 or 3 times. And as I read it on a deeper level, I really saw how the body through our senses is what connects us to our emotions. And happiness is just a heightened emotion, an elevated emotion. And so I think being aware of our body keeps us focused on the present. And I think a lot of my issues come from mental time spent either in the past or the future. And so I think just that grounding, like paying attention to your body through your senses. And that's what I focus on was the senses this month.
Okay.
I definitely, that phrase, experience the experience. I mean, I need to have that tattooed like on my hand. I don't know, like I feel like just to be in the moment is hard. Maybe it's hard for everyone. I don't know.
Right.
Do you guys find that hard?
I feel like when I became a mom and then a mom of 4, you're constantly cleaning up or planning or thinking about how to provide. And so provide something. And it's typically food, isn't it? Like it's food or it's clothing or it's
entertainment,
the shelter that the entertainment. So it's like you can't necessarily rest because you've got all these little people looking to you.
Right. Well, this idea of being more mindful of our physical experiences sounds like it appealed to everyone. It'll be interesting to see the different parts that we picked up on.
I already like hearing our descriptions because it sounds like it kind of spoke to us. So, similar, but a little bit different.
Yeah. All right, Mindy, well, what did you focus on for February?
All right. I have a short list of 4 things.
Okay.
Get cold is my number 1.
Okay.
I hate being cold and it keeps me from living life. I decided that I was going to get outside and do activities in the cold more often.
Good for you.
All right. My second thing was respond to bids, mainly with Bryce. Gretchen talks about responding to bids in this chapter. And I felt that I easily overlooked small comments that Bryce may have made, or I just thought, well, I don't feel that way, so it's not important.
Right.
The third thing was smells. I loved her description of smells, and I have a lot to say about that later. But basically paying attention to them, noticing them, and then surrounding myself with positive smells whenever possible.
Mm-hmm.
And the last thing that I added that really I loved was a vocal exercise. It was speak thankfulness, encouragement, and compliment often.
Oh, that's a great one.
I was so thrilled that came to my mind. I was like, that's a stroke of genius. Like, I don't know where that came from. Like, it seems so simple, and I'll talk about it more later, but I really enjoyed that particular one.
Yeah.
As well.
And I think of you as a very encouraging person. So it surprises me that you felt like you had to focus on that. But I'm interested to see how it went.
Well, thanks, Marie.
Yeah. Now you're probably even more encouraging.
I don't know. I might be annoying, but.
All right. Well, Julie, what did you decide to focus on?
Well, I didn't have a whole lot, but like I said, I was focusing on the senses. My favorite sense is smell. So I just tried to recognize those and appreciate those. And then the sense of hearing. Mm-hmm. And then the sense of tasting. But that one is not in the traditional sense of the word. So I'll talk about that a little bit later. That was kind of my main thing that I think God used to speak to me this month through that.
Oh, wow.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to see what is the non-traditional definition of tasting.
I know. Me too.
All right. Well, what did I focus on? I definitely tried to focus on experience the experience. So I tried really hard to actually taste my food, to notice the sounds and smells around me, particularly outside, noticing the sights and environment. I can tend to stay in my own head a lot and not really pay attention to the little details. One of Gretchen Rubin's favorite things is to celebrate small holidays, and Valentine's Day was this month. So it seemed like the perfect time for me to up my game on that. She also talks about acknowledging bids for attention. And Mindy, you mentioned this, and I was really struck by this too. And I want to just read for listeners a little bit of how she describes that. When someone makes an attempt to connect with us, either through a touch, a question, a gesture, a comment, or a look, that we should answer back with a comment or a laugh or some kind of acknowledgement. And to be attentive and playful is best, but to be non-responsive, critical, or sarcastic is hurtful. And I think it's easy to become maybe immune to the bids of people around us, especially the people that we're closest to in our families. And if you're in your head a lot, like I am, it can be really easy just to not even see the bid. So I tried to see those a little bit more. Then I also tried to focus on the smells. I have a really strong sense of smell, but I never usually try to focus on turning that into a positive. Usually I'm on the lookout for smells I don't like and eliminating them. And this time I really tried to appreciate smells that I do like.
Yeah, the first thought I had when I read smells, I was like, yeah, I've got 3 boys in the house. I know all about smells.
Yes. Well, how did your efforts go? Mindy, how did your month go with trying out these new things?
All right. So my first goal was to get cold. And I did. We had a ski trip planned for this month. So it was perfect timing for my goal of getting cold and also going skiing. And so I found that pretty much if you layer up the correct way, it's a lot easier to brave the elements.
Yes. And you had big smiles in your skiing pictures. So you looked like you did it well.
It was surprising to me because we got to Vermont. The high was 2 degrees and the low was -10. That was our first day. It got a little warmer after that, highs in the 20s. So woohoo.
Balmy.
Right, exactly. I spent a fortune buying ski socks and the long underwear and the right gloves and the right shoes, the right hat. So there's a lot of clothes involved, but I'd always been just, maybe I'll call it lazy, with even going for walks outside in the winter because you have to layer up and bundle up to get outside. But then once you're out there, how beautiful and crisp and clean the air is. I loved being able to get cold, go skiing. I mean, even going to an environment that was that cold brought me some anxiety. And
Right.
so just realizing that I could survive.
Yeah.
I didn't die or like lose appendages,
Right.
from frostbite.
But it sounds like you proved that old saying about how there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothing.
Yes.
When you
Julie.
aren't dressed, that's the only time when I go skiing that I actually enjoy being the cold because I'm so prepared for it.
Yes. And so I realized that even with that trip, I was prepared for that trip, but then to bring that mentality home and go for a walk outside in my neighborhood when it wasn't like beautiful sunny weather. Just getting outside more this month was life-changing. I mean, y'all know I love to walk outside, and so it just kind of gave me time outside in February, which I typically would not have done.
Oh, wow.
So that did go very well. Me with acknowledging or responding to bids with Bryce, there wasn't like a profound makeover here. I would have to say there was just an overall happier existence, like with the trip that we took together with the kids, with conversations. I just felt like maybe there was less stress because he felt heard. And I felt heard. And thankfully, Bryce is already a good listener to me. It was really me that had to work on like listening to the things that he said. And so just overall happier existence. So I'll move on to smells. This was a lot of fun. Smell is something that has meant a lot to me. I learned this skill when I was losing 60 pounds the second time.
Okay.
That there are certain foods that bring lots of joy and happiness when I smell them.
Mm-hmm.
However, when I eat them, not so much. So I did notice that like I love the smell of cinnamon rolls, of fresh baked bread. I love the smell of donuts, chocolate chip cookies.
Mm-hmm.
But I also noticed that as soon as I ate them, I just didn't feel as happy as when I was just smelling those items. That was something that I did learn, that some foods are just better smelled and not tasted.
Yeah. I never even thought about
Can't gain
that.
weight from smelling.
That's exactly right. But you get so much joy out of the smell. But when you change your mindset of, instead of telling yourself like, I can't eat that, just say, I'm going to enjoy that food for the smell of it. It's very different.
Mm-hmm.
It's a positive response instead of a lacking or a negative response. And there really is joy in smelling certain foods.
Well, and I think that there must be some science behind that because they make candles. Now, I haven't seen chocolate chip cookie candle, but definitely, like the
cinnamon roll.
Yes, the cinnamon rolls and like sugar cookie. I mean, they make those smells because people like them.
Yes. Absolutely. Well, I took the smell a step further. You guys know I enjoy working out. I have a certain body lotion and perfume that I absolutely love by Philosophy. And I'm allergic to perfume. So perfume in itself gives me a headache, makes me dizzy, but I have found that I can wear Philosophy products. Well, every day I decided I'm putting this on every single day. Amazing Grace is my favorite smell. I put this on before I get dressed in my workout clothes.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm going to sweat, but I smell good still. Like it helps the sweat smell better.
Yeah.
Let's see. All right. The last thing was speaking thankfulness, encouragement, and compliments often. This was a lot of fun because it sounds very simple and it happens so randomly that there's thoughts that go through my head a lot. So you see someone and you think, oh, I really like your sweater, but do you always say that? No, it maybe sticks in your mind. Or you see someone and you can tell that they got their hair done. Do you say, oh, hey, your hair looks great?
Mm-hmm.
But I think that just forcing myself to speak that compliment to other people brought a lot of joy to others, which in return brought a lot of joy to me. But also closer to home, speaking thankfulness and encouragement in my own family, bringing to light the things that were happening in our home that I wanted to make sure we were aware of or that we recognized. So when we were driving to Vermont, it's wow, like look at those mountains, look at the snow. isn't that amazing? Oh, like Bryce, I'm so thankful that we're able to take this trip. Thank you for taking off of work. Thank you for investing in us going to a family resort. And while we're at the resort, I'm like, I just love like the time that the boys are playing chess together. I love the memories that we're making, but really like being intentional about speaking it out loud. There's something about speaking it out loud that in return helps your family and those around you look for other things or recognize when something good has happened.
Well, it really sets the tone. Like it sets the tone even for your vacation. Like I hate it when we're going on vacation and someone starts complaining because all of a sudden everybody's complaining. But if you're going on vacation and someone says something positive, you feel like the whole group is lifted up.
Right.
Well, those sound like really great resolutions, Mindy, and it sounds like you got a lot out of it.
It was an enjoyable month. Very much.
Julie, how did your month go?
I said I focused on smells, and smells are one of my favorite things. With cologne, I'm like you, Mindy. I wear it every single day. Even on my way to work out, I squirt some on. And I wear it for me because I love the scent. I've worn the same cologne for years. It's called Layla. It's just really clean and fresh.
Yes.
And John has worn the same cologne since I met him. And it really makes me sad because he can't wear cologne to work anymore.
Oh, really?
Oh, right.
Their group has like forbidden it. And I thought, okay, that is too much.
Oh,
when you tell people they can't wear. So I could always tell like, oh, he's home now or he's up because I could smell him, his cologne. So I kind of miss that. I'm big on candles, as you know. I think she talked about the power of smell to influence our emotions. Yeah. There's a few scents that can take me back even to our very first apartment that we had together. Just because of that scent. And it was, I think it was the Crabtree and Evelyn Smell of Spring.
Oh,
I used to use that all the time. Other favorite scents of mine are lavender, cilantro. You're going to think this is funny, but my dog, when he's clean, I just love that smell. Like he has this kind of horsey smell, like a horse. Not a stinky smell.
Right.
Very, I don't know. I can't even describe it, but I love that smell.
Sweet.
I love the smell of a fire in my fireplace or even the day after. I know a lot of people don't like that part of it, but I like that. I love cut grass and I love fresh flowers. One time we got to stay in this really fancy hotel in San Francisco. We'd only been married like a year or two. But when John was a resident, he had to go to a meeting and they paid for us to stay in the hotel that the meeting met in. And we even had fresh flowers in our room. And still to this day, when I smell that flower, I think it might have been a lily.
Oh.
I think of that hotel, that trip, that city, everything.
Oh, I love that.
So smells are really powerful with me. They can lift my mood. They can remind me of something good in my life, a place, or even something about my home. And then when it comes to eliminating bad odors, I choose all the fragrances. Like everything I have has a fragrance and none of them match. Like all of them are different.
Right.
I mean, I choose lavender when I can, but they don't,
Right.
That. So some people might be overwhelmed when they come in my house, but I have got all the scents going on. And then hearing, and this is where it gets a little deeper. I get off the light topics here, but I just have learned that I have to put truth in my ears and in my head every single day. And while I love hippie radio, that's what's on in my car all the time is hippie radio.
I never even heard of that.
You haven't?
No.
Marie.
I love the description, hippie
I know,
radio.
I like the hip.
What does that entail?
It's just all the best from the 70s and 60s, 70s, and 80s.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
Great.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't live on that alone. Like while that music is fun, it's not always the most uplifting or edifying.
Okay.
And so lately I've just been listening to a lot of worship music. I have a speaker in the house that I can, I'm alone a lot. So I have the ability to do that. I don't have to have earbuds in. And I've just been playing that more often in the house. Also, I need good Bible teaching. Getting into God's word, it's just, that's an easier way for me to do it more often than to sit down and read. And I've just got some favorites I've listened to that I listen to regularly. So I've been doing that, and that's been very helpful.
Yeah, I think that's really important, Julie. And I do think that we don't recognize the importance of what we're listening and consuming as to what effect it has on our mood and our happiness.
And then, and fun music makes me happy, and it's just in a different way. Like sometimes I need more meat than that. I've got to, have something a little deeper. And so that leads me to my last one, which was tasting. It just reminded me of the verse, Psalm 34:8 says, taste and see that the Lord is good. And I've had a really rough week. If only I could sense his grace and really taste. And I think the word taste there means to just really know on the inside, like how good he is. That if I could experience God's grace in that way routinely, then things that are going on in my life, like hurts and disappointments and just things not going my way, don't matter so much because I have him. And, I've heard this verse my whole life, the verse that his mercies are new every morning. And what I've come to realize is that only God's mercies are new every morning. Everyone else's are old. You know how when you get something that you thought would make you happy and it just doesn't last forever, like even a good thing, it begins to pale and then you just want something more. You want something else. And, like yesterday that satisfied, but today it's old. Right. So if I set any of those things that I think I want ahead of God, I mean, that's basically the essence of sin right there,
Right.
Then I tend to kind of become a slave to that. Like there's nothing wrong with the things I want. There's nothing wrong with people wanting to be married or to have a baby or to have a nicer house or a better job. But when I want that more than God, then that's when the problem sets in. And I think when we want it more than God and we get it, then we want more and it satisfies less.
Right.
And if you remember the story in the Bible, when the Israelites were in the wilderness and God had been feeding them the manna, and then they started to complain and they craved meat.
Right.
And they basically were even saying, we'd go back to being slaves because, hey, the meat was free. And they were basically saying, if only we had this. And how many times do we say, I'd be happy if only? And it could be whatever, fill in the blank.
Right.
And in that story, God gave it to them so much that they said it was coming out their nostrils. Like they had a lot of meat. And he warned them that they would grow to despise it because they wanted it more than they wanted him. So I just thought it was interesting that God used the word taste and see that he's good, because the more that we taste that he's good, then everything around us can taste better. That job he gave you, that husband, that house, that relationship, that family. Instead of paling, those things can become brighter. I don't think I ever understood taste and see, but I think it means more than just seeing, more than hearing. It's actually like taking it in, chewing on it, literally chewing on it and ingesting it. And that takes time. And I don't think I've been doing that much lately. I've kind of let that part of my life fall off, because when you've had an experience in the past with God and things are good and you're thinking rightly, you kind of just want to coast on that experience for the next 6 months. Unfortunately, that's just not how God works, you know? And you think, I can do this, I can do it on my own, and you just can't. Focusing on senses has just been helping me to be aware, like daily. I have to do this daily. I have to slow down. I have to take this in daily, by sight, by hearing, ingesting. It just takes it all.
That is so
I love
wise,
that, Julie. Yes.
I don't know. It's not been a great week, but it's better because of that.
Julie, I would love to know, what are your favorite Bible podcasts that you're listening to?
Well, I love Tim Mackey. I love Tim Keller. I even listen to like Grace Chapel, which is here in Nashville. Steve Berger is his name.
Okay.
Local pastors too. So those are some of my favorites. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right, Marie, on a lighter note, how was your month?
Okay, well, Julie, you actually got me started on my first, okay, we read this chapter and I'm going to do it. So it snowed early this month, and Julie texted me and said, hey, do you want to go for a walk? And she said, I love walking in snow. So I got ready to go for a walk, and then Julie texted me and said, change of plans, I'm staying home by the fire. But I still went for a walk.
I did have other plans.
I know.
I didn't just chicken out on you.
It's so funny.
But in the meantime, I had already kind of psyched myself up. but I actually didn't listen to anything. And I tried to notice just like the snow on the branches and feel the cold air and hear the sounds. And I don't normally take that much time to look at what's around me.
Right.
So even though I don't remember anything else I did on that snow day, having made a conscious effort to be mindful during that walk has stuck with me all month.
Good.
Oh.
And that was our beautiful snow, Mindy. Like, it wasn't our typical snow. It was the kind where the trees were just falling over with weighted snow. And it was
my
so
goodness.
pretty.
Yes, it was. And without you having suggested that, I probably wouldn't have gone for a walk.
I missed out, but I'm glad you didn't.
Julie was a vessel.
All right. Well, then I moved on to smells. I really tried to smell the air on my walk, and I started to think about other smells. I really don't wear perfume. Like, maybe on occasion. I never buy scented laundry soap. My daughter actually brought that up to me the other day. She was like,
Really?
Mom, how come we don't have a smell to our clothes? And I thought, well, that's because I don't like a smell to my clothes. But it was just interesting that she had noticed that we don't have. I always buy the all free and clear.
Are you serious?
Yes, no color, no smell.
If it has like the range of no smell to all the smell, I'm on all the smell.
Yeah, even our boys' clothes smell like lavender and
Yes.
whatever.
But it's interesting. I started thinking about the ways that smell does affect me, and smells conjure up experiences for me. So I was thinking about some of the different kinds of smells that are appealing to me because of experience. So I love the smell of a pipe. Now, I don't smell a pipe that often. I don't know really anyone in real life that smokes one. Once in a while, I might come across someone out in public, but that smell just takes me back to when I was a little girl and my dad smoked a pipe for a while. And I associate it with him and happy memories, and it just brings me back there. The smell of cloves. It always makes me remember when my mom was doing a craft with cloves and she said, come here and smell this. And like, it just brings that back to me. Another weird smell that you guys are going to get a kick out of, but this is a real thing. I love the smell of a clean and well-organized garage.
Oh,
have you guys ever smelled the difference between a clean and well-organized garage and not?
I don't know what smell that would be in my garage. Like,
yes.
what is it that's smelling?
It's just so clean and peaceful. So my grandparents had a very clean and well-organized home. And many of their family gatherings, they actually held in the garage. But their garage was so clean, you could have eaten off the floor. So they'd set up tables and tablecloths, and we would have our meal out there. And the smell of a clean garage just brings back that for me. And I don't have that smell at my garage, much to my dismay. I would love to. But my brother wanted me to go up and get a tool for him, and he was at work. I had to go into his garage, and it had the same smell. He is very organized, and his garage smells like my grandfather's, and it just brings me back there.
Oh, that's really cool.
Oh, yeah. I need to come over and smell that and see what that is.
I'm going to go in my garage and smell it. I haven't noticed that.
All right. Then I said that Valentine's Day was this month. I do normally give all my kids little gifts at their breakfast seat on Valentine's Day. I think I started it because the twins, their love language is definitely gifts. So any little thing I would lay there, they were ecstatic about. Now that they're the only ones home enjoying it, they get better and better things. So I think they they each had an Aerie gift card and 2 little boxes of chocolates and some mascara they'd been wanting. But they're so appreciative of gifts that it's fun to give it to them.
Yes.
So anyways, then I had suggested to them the day before that we would take them out to a nice restaurant for Valentine's Day. They were excited to do that because they said that we always wait and go to all the nice restaurants when they're away on trips. And we take the older kids. And there may be a grade of truth to that. So this time we took them and we had the best time. And we really did it up. We went to a nice restaurant. And I even said, do you guys want dessert? And I never say that. They even commented afterwards, Mom, you never tell us we can get dessert. I said, well, it's Valentine's Day.
Did they try something new food-wise?
They did. Well, I mean, Lydia's had salmon before, but she doesn't usually order in a restaurant. So she got that. Lauren got steak. And then what else did they try? Oh, they tried Brussels sprouts and they actually liked them. And crab cakes. They tried those too. So yeah,
wow.
it was
That sounds
good.
like a delicious dinner. Oh my
It was
goodness.
really good. So we had a fun time. Okay, but I think the biggest thing this month was the bids for attention for me. Reading about this was really like a light bulb moment for me. And I tried to pay more attention. You know, I don't always react the best being interrupted from my train of thought. And so when people say mom, sometimes they have to repeat it several times, or I'm like, what? And don't even look at them. I just keep on doing what I was doing. This time I really tried to stop, make eye contact. I really tried to pay attention to those bids. But here's where my biggest light bulb moment was. I started thinking about the bids of friends and family. And so here's an example that came to mind. A long time ago when I had little kids, someone asked me to do something with them on a Saturday. And it wasn't something that I was really interested in. And I especially didn't want to take the time to do it when I was feeling so overwhelmed by little kids and a baby. And I said no. I don't think I said it rudely. I can't even really remember what I said. But later on, someone came and told me that that person was hurt by me not doing it, by me saying no. And I remember thinking, you know, how did I say it? But I couldn't really think of anything. And I thought, well, can't they see I'm so busy and I can't take all that time to do something, especially when it's not even really my kind of thing? But reading about the bids made me think about why they might have been hurt. They were reaching out and expressing an interest in spending time with me, and I didn't recognize and acknowledge that. It's okay to say no. Like if I'd said no and followed it up with, I can't do that, but would you like to go for coffee next Thursday? Or do you want to hang out next week? I don't think there would have been hurt feelings. But instead, I just said no. And in leaving it at that, I didn't reciprocate their interest in spending time together. And the thing is I really wouldn't have minded spending time together. I just was completely unaware of the way I was coming across.
Right.
And so it would be like if I asked one of you guys to lunch on Tuesday and you say no, but you don't offer any other day. It's like slamming the door in someone's face.
No, you're right. You're
and
right.
if they weren't a good friend yet, they might have felt like they were putting themselves a little bit out there, you know.
Yeah. It really shed some light on that. And I had never really understood that. And I don't know why that story stayed with me so long, because I'm sure there's been many times where I've refused things, but it always stuck with me that she was hurt and I knew about it, but I didn't know why. You know, to me, I was looking at, well, I just can't do that activity. But reading about the bids, I really realized that this person was wanting to spend time with me. It wasn't even about the activity. It could have been any activity. And by not saying, oh, I can't do that, but we could do this, I was basically saying, no, I don't want to spend time with you.
Spend time. Yeah.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
So that's just something to keep in mind. Listeners, I don't know if you can think of anything in your minds, but it really made me more aware of looking beyond what's suggested to me, whatever the activity is. And if I can't do that, maybe suggesting something different.
What they're really asking.
Yes.
Looking
the
past
heart of the issue.
Yeah. Past the circumstance.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's good.
Yeah. Okay. So did you learn anything surprising about yourself this month?
The main thing that I probably learned this month is just to give someone little lifts in their days by a simple sentence, or that I had noticed something about them or about a situation that was good, and speaking it out loud can really change the direction of somebody's day, maybe even life. And how just a simple comment of allowing the good things that pop into our minds, to speak those out loud really just blesses in ways that I think that we probably can't imagine. I know it changes the dynamic and the attitude of my own home, but to be able to speak those out to people, the cashier, you know, at the grocery store, somebody that you pass in a hallway, if you notice something and it's something good, to speak it out loud really was a wonderful activity this month.
Well, I'm thinking even when I've gotten, compliments from strangers, they're so out of the blue that they really stick with you. You're like, well, they must have really been sincere if they took the time to say that. So good job, Mindy.
Thanks, Marie.
All right, Julie, what did you learn?
I think I've already said it, just learned a lot about myself, that a big trap for me is to live in the if only and not in the present, thankful and acknowledging of all that's good here now. Falling into that trap of, oh, I'm good and I can do this on my own for a while. That just doesn't work.
And I don't think you're alone in that. Like, I think we
No.
all have our if onlys, and we can just be consumed by them. And you're right that when we're in the right pattern and relationship with God, the if onlys don't seem to be as all consuming as they are when we're not.
Right.
And I think it's human nature to think we can do things on our own. Like, we get to a point, and like just with our bodies, we would not go work out and exercise and say, I'm at my ideal weight and health, and then just never do it again. Like, you won't stay there, and it's the same with your mind and your heart.
Right.
Well, there's that song, and it's a popular Christian song. I don't know the name of it, but it talks about wanting the healer more than the healing, wanting the savior more than the saving.
Yeah, I've heard that one.
And it talks about that. And I it's every time I hear it, I'm like, yes, Lord, like, help my mind be on you, not what you can do for me necessarily.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good reminder. Okay. Did I learn anything surprising about myself this month? I don't know if it was surprising because I already do know this about myself, but maybe it just reinforced the extent of how much I live in my head. Like, I experience things more in my mind than I do in the physical world around me. Like, I never notice a sunset unless I'm at the beach and I've walked down there to watch it. But my daughter said to me this summer, we were out on the porch eating dinner, and she said something about the sunset. And she's like, Mom, you never notice sunsets. And I thought, well, that is really true. Like, I never even think of looking at the sky for a sunset.
That's interesting. Your daughter pointed that out.
I know that she noticed that about me. And like, when we go for walks, Steve is forever saying, there goes a plane. I never notice the plane going above me. It's just funny that I am so in my head. I feel like I can read about an experience, and I feel like that's almost good enough for me. Like, I don't even need to go and see it. If I read a really good book about it, that's enough. I've imagined it well enough for me to be satisfied.
Right.
So that's I don't know if you guys are like that, but this just really reminded me that I can't always just live in my head. And I need to actually look around and experience the experience. All right. Well, I think that we all enjoyed thinking about our senses and the ways that we experience the world. Listeners, if you have been reading this book along with us, we would love to hear what you pulled out of this chapter. If you have anything to add, or you just want to say, hey, yeah, I feel that way too, email us at midlifematterspodcast@gmail.com. Or come and find us on Instagram at Midlife Matters Podcast. We're always interested in the way you guys are experiencing this book too. All right, it's time to move into our I'm a Fan. Julie, what do you have for us this week?
All right, I'm a fan of this little bamboo box that I got at Target. You can get them on Amazon as well, but we remodeled our bathroom last year, and I decided I was going to have a clean countertop. There was not going to be anything on the countertop.
Love it.
Because I used to have like little trays and things out that I kept makeup in, and it just got really messy.
Okay.
Right.
And now I've decided there's some things I do need. Like, it's just hard to always get into this deep drawer for these like 5 things. My daughter had one of these in her bathroom, and it was so cute. And it's a little bamboo box. I think they're meant to be drawer dividers, like for a kitchen drawer.
Oh.
You could, instead of one big tray, it's multiple boxes you could fill a drawer with.
Nice.
Different shapes and stuff. So I just bought one, and it sits on my bathroom counter, and it's so cute on the counter, and it holds my prescription, my vitamin D, 2 moisturizers, and like whatever earrings I take off that night.
Oh, perfect.
And it's just all contained in that box. And it looks good.
Oh,
It looks
Yeah,
nice.
that's awesome. And I know that that's been a bone of contention between you and Jod with, you taking over the bathroom counters. So I bet he's happy that it all stays contained.
Yeah, because we each have our own sink, and they're across a corner. Like there's a corner cabinet, so his sink's on the left, mine's on the right. And I actually bought him one too because I noticed he was leaving things out on the counter. I know,
getting messy in his old age.
Everything has to fit in there. Like if I start having more than that, I'm like, okay, what's got to go? Because it has to fit in this box.
Perfect.
Nice.
Love it. All right, listeners, we'll put a link to that in our show notes if you want to get something to contain your things too. Mindy, what do you have for us this week?
Well, it was something that I mentioned when I was talking about smells, but I'm just a huge fan of Philosophy products. My favorite scent is the Amazing Grace, but I mentioned that I'm allergic to perfume, and I just love all of Philosophy's line. Their lotions, their perfumes, their fragrance sprays, they have roll-on sprays, they have bubble baths. They just smell so good. I love it. Huge fan of Philosophy.
I've never even heard of it.
Seriously, they have it at Ulta, Sephora.
Yeah, well, I'll have to try that next time I'm in one of those stores. Okay, so I have something to go along with taste. So this is a new taste that I tried this month, and I was in Costco, and they had a little rebate on it, so that makes me try new things.
Nice.
So I think the brand is called Tasty Bite, which that kind of intrigues you. And it's ancient grains. It's millet, sorghum, amaranth, and wheat berries seasoned with turmeric. All right, so I think it is the best little side dish. It comes in a little package that you could microwave it, but I take it out and put it in a casserole dish with a lid and put it in the microwave for 90 seconds, and it's completely ready to go. It's a side dish that I would never even dream of making myself if I had to start from scratch, but I'm more than happy to have it. So I put it with salmon and salad earlier this month, and it was really good. I really enjoyed it. So if you are in Costco, look for the organic ancient grains and give them a try. They're really good and easy. Yeah. And you know I'm all about the easy.
Good and easy. I know. You mentioned Costco and Julie mentioned Target. I'm like, I have like a million things lately that I have loved from both of those stores.
I bet that would be good, Marie, just to take a rotisserie chicken and kind of shred that up in it and just have it as a one dish meal.
Yes, it would be. Definitely. And my family was pretty good with it. Like I had one daughter that wasn't thrilled, but she still ate it. So that to me is a win.
That is a major win.
All right, you guys. Well, I'm interested to see what you keep on with our body chapter. And I think we need to check back in a while and see if we're still keeping up with these resolutions.
Definitely.
Yes.
Next month, we are going to be talking about happiness and family. So I haven't even started the chapter yet, but I'm sure the things that we experiment on with our families this month should make for a good episode.
Excellent.
All right, ladies, it was great talking to you, and we'll see you next week.
See you.
All right, bye. We're so happy you joined us today. If you'd like to get the show notes for today's episode, please email your name and address to midlifematterspodcast@gmail.com and write show notes in the subject line. Also, please tell a friend about the show and help them hit the free subscribe button on their favorite podcast app. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Midlife Matters Podcast. That's where we post pictures and stories about all the things we talk about in each episode. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.